I grew up singing and listening to all different types of music. Show tunes, folk.
Crystal Gayle, a voice as soft as silk, brown eyes that seemed to speak, and hair so long it became iconic, was more than a singer. For more than half a century, she embodied the warmth of Appalachia, the longing of a Kentucky childhood, and a tenderness that wove itself into every line she sang. From a small miner's home in Paintsville to the blazing stages of Nashville, Los Angeles, and London, Crystal rose from scarcity, turning quiet tremors into melody and sorrow into solace. Her voice became a bridge connecting millions of hearts, not through grandeur, but through gentle authenticity. She was the woman who stood at the delicate intersection of traditional country and modern pop. And with "Don't It Make My Brown Eyes Blue?", she taught listeners that the very aches of the heart could hold a luminous beauty. Behind the glow of success lay quiet challenges, moments of self-doubt, and the pressures of being known as Loretta Lynn's little sister. Yet through every note, she carried resilience, transforming her life experiences into music that soothed and inspired. Early years in Kentucky. Brenda Gayle Webb, later known to the world as Crystal Gayle, was born on January 9th, 1951, in Paintsville, Kentucky, into a family defined by modest means and quiet endurance. She was the youngest of 8 children, raised in a home where coal dust clung to windows and the weight of daily labor hum heavy in the air. Her father, Melvin Ted Webb, worked underground as a coal miner, and over time, the harsh realities of mining took a toll on his health, creating an early awareness in Crystal of life's fragility and impermanence. At 4, her family moved to Wabash, Indiana, seeking better medical care and opportunities, but the move could not spare her from loss. By the age of 8, Crystal had already experienced the profound absence of her father, leaving her mother Clara to care for 8 children on her own, and imprinting upon Crystal a sense of responsibility and resilience that would echo throughout her life. Amid these early hardships, music became a refuge. Long before she could walk, Crystal's voice emerged as a source of solace and expression, allowing her to communicate feelings and dreams that words alone could not carry. Singing in small kitchens, local churches, and school gatherings, she cultivated a voice that was tender yet powerful, hinting at the depth and sensitivity that would later define her career. Inspired by family, shadowed by comparison. Crystal's early connection to music was inseparable from her family, particularly her older sister Loretta Lynn, whose voice was beginning to reach audiences far beyond their hometown. Listening to Loretta, Crystal understood that music could offer a path forward, a way to transcend the limitations of poverty and circumstance. Yet admiration carried its own challenges. Throughout her early life, she was frequently introduced and described as Loretta Lynn's little sister, a label that simultaneously recognized her connection while diminishing her individuality. Moving to Indiana exposed her to a variety of musical influences, from gospel and folk to early pop, all blending with her Appalachian roots to shape a soft, expressive style that was uniquely hers. Early performances, whether in church or school, revealed a young artist working to balance reverence for her family's legacy with her own emerging voice, even as her talent became evident. The quiet shadow of comparison lingered, a subtle tension between the comfort of familial inspiration and the drive to forge a personal identity in the world of music. First steps towards stardom. At 16, Crystal faced her first major opportunity when Loretta fell ill, leaving her to perform at the Grand Ole Opry in her sister's place. Standing alone on that iconic stage, Crystal sang Ribbon of Darkness with a quiet, intense intensity captivated the audience and hinted at the emotional honesty she would carry throughout her career. For the first time, she was recognized not merely as someone else's sister, but as herself, a young woman capable of translating personal experience into music that resonated universally. This performance became the foundation of a career built on authenticity and emotional resonance. The hardships of her early life, poverty, grief, and the subtle pressure of comparison transformed into strengths, equipping her with a resilience that informed not only her artistry, but her approach to life. From that stage onward, Crystal Gayle's career was rooted in a capacity to touch audiences through sincerity and the quiet power of her voice. Early career challenges. Crystal's journey into the professional music world was neither immediate nor effortless. After graduating high school in 1969, she signed with Decca Records, the label that had also nurtured Loretta Lynn. With the name Brenda replaced by the more evocative Crystal Gayle, she was introduced as a fresh presence, though the transition carried its own pressures. Early recordings had modest impact, and critics often measured her against Loretta, amplifying the sense of having to prove herself as an artist with a voice and identity of her own. The comparisons and slow initial momentum could have disheartened her. But even in these formative challenges, Crystal demonstrated persistence and integrity. In every studio session, she displayed a vocal clarity and emotional subtlety that hinted at the profound connection her music would forge with listeners. These early years of testing, reflection, and adaptation allowed her to hone not just her craft, but the personal resilience that would carry her through a long and evolving career. Finding her true voice. In 1974, Crystal made a transformative career move, leaving Decca for United Artists Records, where producer Alan Reynolds recognized her potential as an artist capable of defining her own sound. Reynolds encouraged her to move beyond comparisons with her sister and to embrace a softer, contemporary vocal style that would become her hallmark. During this period, her recordings, including Restless, Wrong Road Again, and This Is My Year for Mexico, revealed a unique capacity to merge country sensibilities with a polished, emotionally resonant pop sound. The creative freedom she found in this new environment allowed her to claim an artistic identity fully distinct from familial legacy or industry expectation. Through these early recordings, she developed a style that was simultaneously delicate and confident, tender, yet commanding attention, creating music that could evoke intimacy and resonance for listeners across genres. By embracing her individuality, Crystal Gayle evolved from a promising talent into an artist capable of connecting deeply with audiences on her own terms. Breakthrough and global recognition. Crystal Gayle's international breakthrough came in 1977 with the recording of Don't It Make My Brown Eyes Blue, a song initially intended for another artist, yet transformed entirely by her singular interpretation. In a single, emotionally resonant take, she infused the track with a rare combination of vulnerability, warmth, and understated sophistication that captured the attention of listeners far beyond the country music world. The song's success was immediate and sweeping. It topped country charts, climbed to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, and opened doors to audiences around the globe, positioning Crystal not simply as a rising country star, but as a crossover artist capable of bridging genres through emotional authenticity. More than commercial acclaim, the moment represented a personal affirmation for Crystal, establishing her artistic identity on her own terms and demonstrating her capacity to convey profound feeling through subtlety rather than theatricality. That performance became emblematic of her career-long skill, transforming introspection, gentleness, and nuance into a compelling and enduring form of musical strength, reminding the industry and the public alike that emotional honesty in song could resonate as powerfully as any dramatic, vocal flourish. With that single track, Crystal Gayle set a precedent for what would become a remarkable trajectory, one in which technical mastery and heartfelt storytelling coexisted seamlessly, capturing both hearts and charts with equal force. redefining country pop. In the years that followed, Crystal Gayle's artistry contributed significantly to the evolution of country pop music, shaping its sound and expanding its emotional reach. Her recordings, television appearances, and live performances demonstrated a voice capable of blending the earthy authenticity of traditional country with the accessibility and polish of contemporary pop, creating music that felt genuine, yet broadly appealing. Hits such as I'll Get Over You and her duets with Eddie Rabbitt, including the enduring favorite You and I, showcased her ability to convey vulnerability and intimacy without sacrificing technical precision or stage presence, a balance that drew listeners from multiple musical worlds. Beyond immediate commercial success, Crystal's work subtly reshaped expectations for female country artists, proving that emotional nuance and sophistication could coexist with mainstream appeal. She inspired a new approach to vocal storytelling, where phrasing, timing, and emotional resonance mattered as much as lyrical content or instrumental arrangement. This influence became evident in the careers of later country pop stars like Shania Twain, Faith Hill, Trisha Yearwood, and Martina McBride, all of whom carried forward elements of Crystal's understated expressiveness, her meticulous attention to phrasing, and her ability to communicate emotional truths with clarity and warmth. In this sense, Crystal Gayle did not merely find a place in country pop. She helped redefine its possibilities, establishing a template for artists seeking to bridge technical mastery with personal connection, balancing fame and family. Amid the demands of her growing fame, Crystal deliberately cultivated a life grounded in family, stability, and emotional continuity. In 1971, she married Bill Gatsamos, a former Vanderbilt law student who became not only her husband, but her trusted manager and unwavering support system. Bill provided both practical guidance and steady encouragement, enabling Crystal to navigate the challenges of a high-profile career without losing her sense of self. Together, they raised 2 children, Catherine and Christos, in a home environment infused with care, routine, and normalcy, ensuring that the rhythms of everyday life endured alongside the extraordinary demands of recording, touring, and media appearances. Crystal balanced her professional obligations with parenting responsibilities in a way that reflected intentionality and foresight, prioritizing family moments even while her public profile expanded. This approach was not simply about logistics or convenience. It was a conscious choice to preserve perspective, to anchor herself amid the intensity of performance and celebrity. In doing so, she demonstrated that professional achievement and personal integrity could coexist harmoniously, each enriching the other rather than competing for attention. Her devotion to family became a quiet but vital cornerstone of her career, shaping her choices, her priorities, and ultimately her resilience, providing both inspiration and stability in an industry often defined by transience, distraction, and fleeting recognition. By maintaining this balance, Crystal Gayle ensured that the depth of her artistry remained rooted in lived experience and emotional authenticity, a foundation that informed both her creative voice and her approach to life beyond the stage. Sustaining a career of integrity. Crystal Gayle's career is a testament not just to talent, but to the quiet power of integrity and authenticity in music. Over decades, she moved effortlessly across genres, from country to jazz, standards, and inspirational music, each time bringing a sense of honesty and emotional depth that made every note feel lived in rather than performed. Her versatility was rooted not only in technical skill, but in an intuitive understanding of how to connect with an audience, a sensitivity that transformed songs into stories. Recognition naturally followed her dedication: Grammys, American Music Awards, Country Music Association honors, and her celebrated induction into the Grand Ole Opry. But accolades were never her goal. Crystal navigated the music industry, which often rewards spectacle over substance, with steadfast commitment to her own principles. She resisted the pressure to conform to fleeting trends or chase dramatic publicity, focusing instead on producing work that resonated on a personal and human level. That consistency, that unwavering devotion to honesty and performance, is what has allowed her music to endure across decades, forming a bond with listeners that relies on truth rather than hype, and creating a legacy built on authenticity rather than momentary attention. A life of quiet reflection. In recent years, Crystal Gayle has embraced a life defined by calm, reflection, and personal fulfillment. She and her husband, Bill, live in Nashville in a private home designed for ease and connection, with gardens, light-filled rooms, and spaces that invite contemplation and presence. Away from the constant glare of public attention, she engages with music selectively, choosing projects and performances that align with her values and allow her to maintain a sense of authenticity. Teaching and mentoring young performers has become a quiet passion, giving her a way to share her craft and insights without the pressures of commercial performance. Her days are anchored in family, grandchildren, and simple routines, celebrating meals, conversation, and small joys rather than the spectacle of fame. Even in moments of loss, such as the passing of close friends or mentors like Loretta Lynn, Crystal has maintained a gentle resilience, demonstrating empathy and emotional strength that have become hallmarks of her life and work. Her commitment to personal well-being and quiet reflection underscores a central truth of her career, that sustaining artistry is not about constant visibility, but about cultivating inner balance and living in alignment with one's values. Legacy of tenderness and strength. Crystal Gayle's influence on music and culture extends far beyond charts or awards. She transformed country music by bridging traditional roots with contemporary sensibilities, proving that emotional honesty and stylistic sophistication can coexist without compromise. Her long hair, understated elegance, and dedication to artistry over spectacle became symbols of a quiet, enduring strength, an alternative model of success in an industry often dominated by flamboyance. Her life story is marked by resilience. She overcame childhood poverty, early professional challenges, and personal loss, navigating an industry that can be unforgiving while retaining compassion for herself and others. Crystal demonstrated that true strength does not require toughness or bravado, and that vulnerability can be a source of connection rather than weakness. Her artistic choices and personal demeanor illustrate that sustained impact comes not from transient trends, but from consistency, emotional truth, and integrity. In this way, she created a body of work and a persona that continue to inspire musicians and audiences alike, showing that artistry rooted in care and authenticity can leave a lasting mark on culture and hearts alike. The heart of Crystal Gayle. At the core of Crystal Gayle's music is an unwavering devotion to authenticity and emotional connection. Every performance carries the weight of experience, the depth of personal history, and the understanding that music is a bridge between lives, emotions, and shared memories. Her voice does not need embellishment to convey truth. It communicates through subtlety, touch, and presence, creating intimacy between performer and listener. Whether she is singing a story of love, loss, hope, or joy, each note resonates because it reflects lived experience. In this way, her artistry extends beyond technical skill to embrace empathy and emotional insight, making listeners feel seen, understood, and connected. Over decades, Crystal has remained consistent in her ability to touch the human heart through song, demonstrating that the power of music lies not in spectacle, but in presence, care, and the willingness to communicate honestly. A gentle icon. The story of Crystal Gayle exemplifies a rare combination of grace, resilience, and enduring artistry. From a childhood shaped by hardship and early loss, to a career that spanned decades of changing musical trends, she remained authentic, grounded, and attentive to the emotional truth of her work. Her influence reaches beyond her voice. It is present in the audiences she has touched, the young artists she has mentored, and the cultural conversations she has shaped about integrity and presence in music. Crystal's life demonstrates that quiet resilience can be as impactful as flamboyant performance, and that tenderness can leave a lasting imprint on listeners and peers alike. Her artistry, defined by honesty, empathy, and consistency, has created a legacy that is both timeless and deeply human. Crystal Gayle is a reminder that music's greatest power lies in connection, that authenticity endures when spectacle fades, and that the artist who sings from the heart can leave an impression far greater than any award or chart position could ever measure.